In the depths of the shimmering ocean, where secrets swirled with the waves, there was a mermaid town. One day, a fascinating human named Abby came from the sea, disrupting their peaceful existence. "What is your husband's attitude any longer?" She became angry one day and started scolding him. However, he was unconcerned with his wife's suffering and began beating her, even though she was pregnant. As they got closer to the water, the sound got louder and continued. It was a picturesque riverbank town populated primarily by fishermen and women. Others were farmers who operated two major markets, the general market, which was held every 5 days, and the fish market, which was open every day for fishermen. The settlement was a key fish supply for the surrounding areas. The fish from Apu were exported to the metropolis for higher sales and remuneration. It was undoubtedly the best and most profitable business in Apu village. There were two brothers who were fishermen, the eldest and Abby, who was married and had 2 children. Abby was engaged to Lobby, a lovely woman from the village. The 2 brothers were the providers because of their fishing abilities. They bravely ventured into the depths of the ocean to fish, navigating dangerous conditions and returning with a magnificent catch. One fateful morning, as the brothers were hauling in their nets, heavy with the day's catch, they heard a quiet melodious voice singing a lovely song. The voice was coming from below. "Do you know where the sound is coming from?" "What if there's trouble?" one brother asked. "What if someone is in trouble and requires our assistance?" the other insisted. They decided to investigate, and they gradually closed in on the sound. It got increasingly louder, but they kept going. They followed the sound till they came to a stranded mermaid with her glittering tail trapped in a tangle of seaweed. Abby offered to help her, but the mermaid was scared. He approached the distressed mermaid and gently released her. In exchange for their support, she pledged to return their compassion. She couldn't stop thinking about how attractive Abby was. She was already flushing from love. The next morning, she returned to the same location and sang a very sweet and quiet song, hoping that they would pass by due to the sound of her voice. This was their typical fishing path. So they approached her. When they arrived, they couldn't take their gaze away from the mermaid's beauty, their eyes connected, overflowing with love. Abby was speechless. The mermaid said, "I came here to say thank you. My intuition told me that you would pass by, and you did. I've brought gifts for you and your elder brother in gratitude for saving my life." "You didn't have to do that," Abby explained, "or to say it's the least I can do to save my life." He took the gifts, and Abby was mesmerized by her beauty, silent and staring at her. "Sorry, I neglected to introduce myself. My name is Imani," the mermaid explained. The brothers also introduced themselves. Abby whispered into Imani's ear, "Meet me here tomorrow by 4 p.m., she grinned and nodded in accord. So the boys left to continue their quest. They got a great catch that day and made a lot of money after selling the fish in the markets. Imani could not quit thinking about Abby. She, too, had been thinking about him all night. And when the meeting time approached, Imani dressed enthusiastically to see Abby. Abby noticed a difference in her demeanor, as she was always smiling and blushing like she was in love. "Who is he?" Abby asked. "When I get back, I'll tell you everything. I promise, just wait until I get back." "Okay." So they agreed. Abby was already on her way to the location when she arrived. She was quite excited. They began talking and playing, and she presented Abby with pearls and various stones as gifts. He kissed her, causing shivers down her spine. She really felt it. "When will you take me to see your world?" she inquired. "Soon," he said. "But how can you?" When she returned, her pals were already waiting to greet her. I continued smiling while my heart raced. I think I'm in love with this person, she added. They requested, please don't shout when I tell you. Okay, we won't, they said. He's human. A human, girl? How do you do this? I've always wanted to taste a human. Can we see him? Do not worry, you will see him shortly, Imani said. Weeks passed into months as they met every day at their normal spots, each bearing a present. He soon stopped fishing. All I have to do is remain with Imani, and she will send me things. If I sell all these gifts, I'll be very wealthy, Abby reasoned. One day, Happy told him, be careful, my brother. I'm not sure if you truly adore Imani. You thought you did, but you are overwhelmed with the gifts rather than love. Remember that you are engaged. Forget the engagement. One day, a merman returned to their normal area, but this time he accompanied her companions. When they saw Abby, they were speechless. They stared at him with awe. They've never seen a human as charming as Abby, one of Imani's pals commented. Carrie, one of our money's buddies, stated in our hearts, these are manatee wicked care. Look at what she's doing alone. So she devised a plan to acquire Happy for herself. Abby became ill and was unable to see Imani. So she instructed Carrie to go to their location and give the message to Abby. That was Carrie's opportunity to steal Abby from Imani. She arrived with many gifts, more than Imani had ever brought. Abby was overwhelmed by a need for more gifts as Carrie told him she liked him. He replied, I like you too, because he wanted a gift. He soon had another place and time set apart for Carrie, so his time with Imani was unaffected. He quickly began having affairs with all of Imani's pals, and eventually, all of the mermaids. He embraced them since he received gifts from them every day. He kept bringing stacks of gifts home, intending to sell everything to me and flee. He continued to build his firm, and eventually his greed led him into problems. After witnessing his brother's fall into avarice, Happy could no longer watch him harm himself. So he begged him, brother, gifts may bring temporary joy, but the consequences of your deeds may be serious. Remember the tranquility we once experienced in the ocean, and don't allow your emotions cloud your judgment. However, Abby remained unmoved, blinded by his unquenchable want for more. The mermaids, seeking to win his adoration, offered him their most valuable items. Some days later, Imani returned to their normal position, as if nothing had happened. They pursued their love affair. Imani came upon Abby and her friend Carrie while swimming in the seashore. She was so angry that she didn't confront them. When Carrie returned, she said, You're so wicked, Carrie. How can you keep such a gorgeous human all to yourself? I like him, too, and you won't be the only one stealing his heart. Imani was quite angry. She called all of her pals. How many of you are after my man? She questioned. She admitted, I like him too, I'm having an affair with him, and discovered that all of her friends were having affairs with Abby. So the contest to be picked began. They kept showering him with presents, and he never stopped accepting. The struggle intensified. They, who had previously been placid, turned quarrelsome when they began to battle over Abby. The queen, the ocean's ruler, quickly learned of the situation and assembled all of the mermaids connected with Abby. They crowded around her as she began questioning them one by one. A man replied, My queen, I met him first, then presented him to my friends, and they snatched him away from me. I assumed they were my friends. Imani, I've always known you have a huge heart. You trust too much, and that is your problem. Sometimes you let your results speak for itself rather than explaining your process. Don't go through the process and obtain the results before. Never discuss your personal affairs with your friends. We have learned the hard way. But I still love him. That's your problem, Amani. Does he love you equally? Now listen, everyone. I've always urged you to stay away from humans. They will destroy you, but you will not heed. Though I've encountered some truly excellent ones, the vast majority of them are evil. You are all the ocean's sisters and daughters. How dare you fight over a male? Mother, how disappointing. Now, listen. The man you're fighting and dying for does not love any of you, the queen remarked. A man insisted, but he loved me. But, the queen continued, before greed infiltrated his heart and obscured his sense of logic. He served them to become wealthy, and he fooled you all by leaving the village. They did not believe. The queen then took out a bowl and showed everyone his discussions with his brother. They witnessed how the brother cautioned him, his efforts to get more money from them by accepting gifts, and, most importantly, his interactions with Lobby. They were enraged and determined he needed to pay for messing with all of them. All the ladies he had affairs with wanted to ruin the entire community. They would never catch a single fish from the ocean, but the queen said, I will allow you to do whatever you want with him. But keep the village out of it. For the sake of his brother, who consistently chastised and cautioned him about his activities. Let the village go, deal with the perpetrator, and do whatever you want with him. So they made a decision. To eat him. But Amani pleaded with them because she truly loved him. She stated, he saved my life. I know he did something wrong. He's a good man. It was merely that he let greed devour him. I would have died if he hadn't risked his own life to save me. Please, my sisters, spare him simply for this reason. So they felt compassion for him because of Amani, yet they stole everything from him and divided it equally among themselves. But Amani took a portion and handed it to Abby's brother. It was only that he refused to listen, Amani explained. He's a nice man, too, but I don't understand why he let greed enter his heart and corrupt his soul. Happy was diagnosed with an incurable condition, which he battled for the rest of his life. Because of his selfishness, he died as a single guy with no children and no marriage. The conclusion of the narrative is that greed spreads like a wildfire. It begins quietly, without your knowledge, and before you know it, it has spread uncontrollably until it finds you in trouble. It set the course for leprosy, which impacted his entire generation as a result of avarice. Second, learn to shut your voice and let your results speak. When you explain your process, people will get the results. If Amani had remained silent, no one would have known about Abby. Maybe they would have married. She lost the love of her life just by opening her mouth. Shut your mouth. Subscribe to my channel please.